So then the next part of your CSS journey is going to be all about pseudo classes and pseudo elements. So what on earth are they? Well, pseudo classes and elements, they're both kind of special keywords that we can use in CSS and add to selectors so we can target elements when they're in a particular state. For example, when we hover over an element, or when a form field is in focus, or when an element is the first child of the parent element. And we use pseudo classes by tacking them onto the end of our selector. We use a colon, then the keyword. Okay, so there's loads of different pseudo classes that we can use. We're going to take a look at a few of them to target different states of our elements in our code. So then we know now that these pseudo classes are used to target elements when they're in a particular state. So I said things like when we hover over an element. So when we hover over something like an anchor tag, we could style that a bit differently, and we would use the hover pseudo class to do that. Likewise, we have a form field down here, and we could enter in a load of text. And if we start to enter in that text and this field is in focus, then we could style that differently at that point, and we'd use the focus pseudo class. And there's other pseudo classes we can use as well. So let's just explore a few of them in this video. So I'm going to go back to the code, and at the bottom of the rest of the CSS we've done, I'm going to do a little comment if I can, okay? And I'm going to say pseudo, oops, if I can spell it, pseudo classes. Goodness gracious, classes. Right, we eventually got there. That was tough. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do is a hover effect over these links right here. And what I'd like to do is something simple, just make them underline when we hover over them. So we know to do that, we can use a text decoration property and the value underline. So let me now create this selector. We want the nav li a, and that's how we styled them up here, by the way. So we said nav li a, so I'm just grabbing that selector again, and then we're going to tack on at the end the pseudo class, which is hover. And this is going to target those elements when we hover over them. And at that point, we want to say that the text decoration is going to be underline. So if I save this and preview, then now when we hover over these links, they underline. Now we could do something a bit more extravagant if we want. We could say background color and set this to be pink. And let's go wild and give this some padding as well and just say 3 pixels. Okay, so if I save it and preview and hover over now, we can see all of these things now are styled like that. I don't like the background color and I don't like the padding, so I'm just going to remove those. I just wanted to show you we can go wild with these styles as well. So now the next one I'm going to do is a little hover effect over the images down here, so that when we hover over them, they just shift up a tiny bit. Now, when I talk about shifting things out of their original position a little bit, automatically the thing that comes to mind to me is using position relative and then shifting it up from its original position. So we're going to do that on hover of these images. So first of all, the selector we used for the images was images li image right there. And in fact, what we'll do is not target the image directly, but the li tag which holds the image. If we look inside the code, each image is inside an li tag. So let's target that, because then we'll move the li up in itself. So I'm going to just copy this and paste it down here. Then get rid of all the stuff inside. We don't need that. And then on the end, I'm going to add the pseudo class hover. So we're targeting these li tags when we hover over them. And all I'm going to do is give this a position of relative. First of all, remember we need to do that in order to nudge it up a few pixels. And then I'm going to say top -4 pixels. Now I could have done bottom 4 pixels and that moves it away from the bottom by 4, but I wanted to show you using negative numbers as well. That just means move it -4 pixels up, or 4 pixels from the top upwards, not downwards. So let's now save that and see if this works. If I hover over these now, we can see it just nudge up a little bit. A subtle effect, but sometimes that can work really nice for when you've got a gallery page, and so you know when you're hovering over a certain image, and maybe you could click it to enlarge that image or something like that. Okay, so that's the hover pseudo class. Let's look at something slightly different. We're going to come down to this form and we're going to look at the focus pseudo class. So something comes in focus when we select it like that. Now, at the minute we see this blue outline we don't have to keep that there. A lot of the times I would suggest that you do keep that there for usability and a user can see that this field is in focus. But we're actually going to remove that for now, just for the purpose of testing out our CSS. So let us now find the selector we used to style that input field originally. It's right here, form input. And remember, we gave this a border of 4 pixels, solid and white. So when we now have this in focus, I'm going to change this border color. So let me just put this down here. And we want to use the pseudo class focus to say when this field is in focus, then we're going to do something. We're going to style this. So I'm going to override the border property. It's still going to be 4 pixels. This time it's going to be dashed, not solid. And I'm going to use 4B, 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 which is kind of like a gray color. So now, whenever this is in focus, notice that thing right there, this border around it. Now, I'm going to remove that blue outline as well. And to do that, I can use the outline property and set that to none. Now, like I said, that's not always the best idea when it comes to usability, because now if a user's not using CSS, they don't know that this is selected. They don't have that default browser style. So it's sometimes a good idea to keep that in. I'm just removing it for clarity to see what we've done right here. So now when that field is in focus, we know it by this dotted border or dashed border. Now what we can also do is use a pseudo class called valid. So if we go back to our HTML, up here we can see we said that this field was required and it's an email field. Now if you think back to when we did forms, we said that HTML5 comes with some built-in validation. So if we didn't enter an email with an @ symbol, for example, it wouldn't be valid. Or if we tried to submit a form with no value in an input when it was required, it's not valid. So what we can do is use the valid pseudo class to style a form field when it is valid. So when in the eyes of HTML5 and in the eyes of the browser, an input field is valid, we can style it differently to tell the user that before they even submit anything. So that would be a nice effect. What I'm going to do is grab this form input, because we're going to style the same thing, but this time use the valid pseudo class. So when I'm typing something in, if I go over here, if I type in something like hello at myemail.com, as soon as that becomes valid, as I'm typing it, it's going to go green, for example. So the user knows, okay, it's a valid at this point. That's a valid email. So I'm going to now come down here and color the border green. So I'll say border is now 4 pixels, solid this time, and I'm just going to use this hex code 71D300. That is a green color. I found that before, I didn't just make it up. All right, so now we can see, because this is valid at the minute, this is a valid email, that it's this green color. If I delete it, then it's not there anymore. So as soon as I start to type a valid email, now it becomes green. Okay, so that's a nice little effect we can use with this hover pseudo class. Okay then, so I'm going to show you one more pseudo class in this video, and that is going to be the first child pseudo class. So the first child pseudo class can target the child of a parent element when it is the first child inside that parent element. Now to demo this, I'm going to go back to the navigation over here, and you see these links. Now this one right here, this would be the first child inside. Let's have a look where the code is. This li would be the first child inside this ul, right? Now what we could do is style this li differently. So I think what I'll do is just go to the styles, and I'm going to say nav li and then colon first hyphen child, and that is going to target the first li inside that nav. So this top one only, that is the first child. So if now I say something like border is going to be 3 pixels and it's going to be that red color, which is this thing. And I'm also going to say this is solid. So let me just say solid right there. Oops, like so. Okay, so if I save this now and preview, now we can see we get this thing right here, and it looks like it's got this border. Now I don't particularly like that style, so I'm going to delete that. I just wanted to show you that we could style the first child of something using this pseudo class as well. So let me get rid of that. So now we've seen some different pseudo classes. There are many more than this, and there is a whole list of them here on W3 Schools. So you can see all of these. We can target forms, or rather input fields that are disabled, or items that are checked, or we could see anything first of type. That's a bit like first child, or anything that's invalid rather than valid. There's loads of different things we can use down here. So what I'll do is I'll leave this link attached to this video in the description, and you can go and have a play around with all of these different pseudo classes. Because for me to go over every single one, that would take about 2 hours. And I'm sure that's not something you want to sit through for the next 2 hours. So I will leave this link down below. Like I say, go and check them out. They are a lot of fun to use. Okay then, my friends, so next on the agenda are pseudo elements, and they're very similar to pseudo classes. You can see right here, we're looking at pseudo elements, and these are the pseudo classes above that we've briefly seen. Now, pseudo elements use the same idea of colons, but this time they use 2 colons, then the keyword. Now, the difference is that pseudo elements allow us to inject dynamic content. We can see right here, we can use after and before to inject content, but we can also style the content inside of a tag as well. For example, we could target the first letter in every P element, or we could target the first line in every P element. And we can also use this selection right here to target what happens when that element is selected, like this. So let's have a play around with these. First of all, what I'm going to do is come down to the code, and down here I'm going to say article, and then I'm going to look for the P tags inside the article. And remember, if we go back to our HTML, the article is this thing in the main content. So I'm targeting now this P tag. So I'm going to use a pseudo element after this. So double colon, then I'm going to target the first hyphen line. So if we look in the website, oops, we don't want to click on that advert. If we look in the website, then this right here is the first line of the paragraph tag. So what we're essentially doing is trying to select that and style that differently. So what I'm going to do is make this bold and make the font size just a bit bigger so it stands out. So let me say font hyphen weight is going to be bold, and also we'll say font hyphen size will be 1.2 em, so just a little bit bigger. Save that and preview, and now we can see we get this styling for the first line. So that's nice, it looks a bit different, it kind of leads you into the paragraph. Okay then, so let's try another pseudo element. I'm going to come down here and we can see this thing right at the bottom, this paragraph. This time I'm just going to target the first letter. It might not look great, but I want to practice this. So that is inside the join section. So I'm going to say section, and then it's called .join, the class. So we're looking for the section with a class of join. Then we want the paragraph tag inside of that, and we can see that if we go to index down here. The section has a class of join, and we want the paragraph tag. And then once we have that, we can use the pseudo element, which is going to be this time first hyphen letter. So this time we're going to style the first letter of the paragraph, just this L. So all we'll do is something very simple. We'll just say font hyphen size is going to be 1.5 ems. So let me now save this and preview. Save it and preview, and we can see this over here. Might not look great, it looks a bit weird in fact, but this gives you an idea of how we can use this. Maybe on a bigger paragraph where the text is a bit bigger, you could make the first letter bold and a little bit bigger, like you sometimes see in books, something like that. Okay, so now let me show you another one. In fact, I'm going to grab the same thing over here, the same paragraph, and I'm going to use the selected one. So if we go over here, we can see we have this one right here, selection, and that means when something is selected. So let me try this. I'm going to say selection, like so, and I'll say background color is going to be red. Save it and preview over here in the browser. And now if I select this, we can see the background color of that selection is red. We could also make the font color white, so I'll say color, and that is going to be white. Now instead of this red, let's use the red we've already been using up here, so it's all the same, like that, and preview, and now we can see that that is the select color. Now I'm going to apply that to every paragraph on the page rather than just at the bottom, so that now it applies here, and also up here. Okay, so that's nice. And finally, what I'm going to do is show you this other pseudo element after, and that allows us to insert content or inject content after the element itself. So if we look at this, if I did it for the paragraph, the content would come right here. So let's give this a whirl. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say P and then double colon and after. And then what I'm going to do is inject some content. Now to do that, we use a property called content. And this is going to be a string, basically something in single or double quotes. And this will be the content that we inject after the paragraph tag. So I'm going to do ... meaning something else is coming after it. So save that and preview. And now we see these 3 dots at the end of the paragraph tag right there. And we can see them right there on this paragraph tag as well, because we target every paragraph tag, not just the one at the top. Now, if we were to inspect one of these and just move this out, if we open it up, we can see right here we have this after pseudo element. So that after thing has kind of been put into the element tree up here, and we can see the styles of it down here. Now we could do a similar thing with the before pseudo element, but I'm not going to do that. I'm sure you get the idea. And hopefully now you know a little bit more about pseudo classes, which are single colons, then the keyword, and pseudo elements, which are double colon, then the keyword. Now, our website at the minute is looking pretty good on desktops, but as we go into smaller screens like this, it's starting to look a bit shoddy. Now, if you went onto this website on a mobile, you'd take one look and run a mile. So what I'm going to do in the next video is start to introduce you to responsive design and media queries.